black about you cats for another video, and we on our way to do our business like we always do. And it's another another live from your boy the outlier, aka B Live, which I did kill that guy B Live. That is a personality that I did get up out of here, man. He had to go. But today, we are going to talk and speak about progress. Because as we know, every single day, man, we don't compare ourselves to others, but we compare ourselves to ourselves. So I look at three areas of growth, and that is going to be my personal life, that's going to be my health, and it is also going to be my career. And like I just said, what we like to do is compare yesterday to today. And we're going to see how much we progress from day to day. We're basically looking at that 10% rule, man. If you can improve yourself by 10% every single day, then you'll see exponential growth. But the thing about it is we have to stay cognizant of the things that we're doing. And one of the best ways to stay cognizant of it is to basically document it from day to day, my people. And the most important thing that we have is our health. Now, when you're young, you really do not know how much your health plays a part in your life. You know, when you're young, you feel like, okay, I'm always going to be healthy. But as you start getting older, you start seeing, man, you're not going to be young forever. And like I said, I'm 45 years old. My body is definitely changing. And this is actually coming on 20 years that I've had diabetes. If you guys been following my page, I told you cats how I got diabetes. There's no reason to go back into that. But again, when I was younger, I could do things differently. But now I really feel it, man. With diabetes, it is most definitely a dangerous and chronic disease. It's one of those diseases that will sneak up on you if you're not paying attention. And it's something that once things start going bad, it's very hard to get things back on track. So before we get those complications, we most definitely want to handle it. Now, I do my diabetes in two ways. I have an insulin pump, and I also do it the old school manual way. Now, the thing about the insulin pump is you have to stay on top of your appointments. So what happens is if you don't go to the doctor every 3 months, then they're not going to give you your insulin or the fast-acting insulin that you need. And I was playing around with my health, man, and been missing a whole bunch of doctor's appointments. So what happened is they took me off of the insulin pump. And that insulin pump most definitely controls your diabetes the best. But I do have my long-lasting insulin and also the short-acting insulin, in which now you gotta manually do it. And it takes up more and more time and it takes up more effort. But yesterday, we tracked it. And like I said, I was better yesterday than I was the day before yesterday. So comparing Monday to Tuesday, I most definitely controlled it a lot better. I ate a lot better and I feel a lot better. So mission complete. The objective for today is to do just as well as I did yesterday, if not better. And that's keeping it within the range of 90 and 123, my people. Tomorrow, we definitely gonna go into that, and I'm gonna tell you how those numbers went. Now, the next area that I wanted to improve, or I think that I should improve, is my professional level, right? My professional life. And I told you guys again in another live, basically, you know, I've been doing what I've been doing for a long time, my people. We talking about 20-something years. And now the stakes are most definitely higher. And what up, chat? How y'all doing, man? I got 4 people on here. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. We out here in Freeport, Long Island. I am on my way to work, walking. Y'all know how we do it. We get up and out very early. So y'all already know what that's about. So yeah, my professional level, man, professional stuff. We've been having problems professionally, man. And it's basically our department has been expanding. And as we expand, more and more other departments are looking at some of the ways that we do things. And this goes into communication. And communication is very important with everything you do. We got somebody on the check-in, what they say? It says, Epstein did nothing wrong. Epstein did nothing wrong. Epstein did nothing wrong. Epstein did nothing wrong. Listen, I don't know too much about Epstein. I haven't followed. He said, Eastern Massachusetts here. What up, Eastern Mass? We straight from Long Island over here, man. What's good? How you feeling out there in Eastern Mass? You know, I was talking about work, but you interrupted it talking about Epstein. Now, listen, man, I haven't really gone into that case, so I don't know too much about the case. I do know what happened to him. I know Trump's name has been into things. I also know the Prince name has been into stuff. I watched some interviews with the Prince and he looking shaky, not wanting to speak about certain stuff. Trump, I know his names has been in those files. I haven't really followed it too much. I know depending on your political affiliation and who you listen to is how you're gonna take that news. But listen, man, I'm one of them people, man, that, like, I got to see it. I got to see it. So I may not like Trump personally. You understand what I'm saying? He's from Queens. I'm from Long Island. I may not like him personally, but at the same time, I'm not going to put that on that man if I don't have direct evidence that he did something that he did. And those are some evil and wicked charges, if we're being honest, yo. What my man said, he said he was just trying to party. He was an innocent man murdered. I mean, what kind of evidence you got that he was murdered, my brother? You know, I know some of this stuff looks shaky. I'm not gonna say what he did, but I mean, shaky things did happen. You know, that case is eerie and it's weird, but again, man, I go for evidence, man. I can't say that he was murdered. I can't say he was just somebody who liked partying and stuff like that, you know? Because, he was dealing with underage women? I'm not for that, brother, you know? That ain't my type of thing. I don't get down with young women, and I don't play around like that, you know? What'd he say? He said he was just trying to party, and he was an innocent man murdered. Again, I don't know, brother. I don't know. I can't call that. I tend to go with the official reports until I see otherwise, you dig? And this scientific method that I tend to look at the world in, it doesn't really lead me wrong. So, you know, looking at major controversies and a lot of these conspiracy things, I don't think a lot of them pan out, you know? I looked at the September 11th stuff where they say what's my man name, Bush, that he orchestrated it. I don't think that that's true. They talk about one of the buildings was demolished and blew up. I looked at the evidence on that, and I can't really say that that's true. I did some research on the lab leak theory. And again, listen, science ain't gonna tell you 100% this or 100% that. You're gonna get percentages. So with the lab leak theory, is it possible? Yes, I believe it was possible. But do I accept it? I don't think I accept it, man. You know? What'd he say? And they murdered him over it. I mean, listen, bro. That's how you feel. That's how you feel. You know? But I don't think so. You know? Well, again, I don't know. If you got some evidence, man, present it, brother. If not, it just is what it is. You know? It just is what it is. So I went over a lot of conspiracy theories, and a lot of them don't check out, man. People say that we faked the moon landing. I don't know about that either, bro. I don't think NASA faked the moon landing. What other conspiracies out there? We could talk about creation and evolution, where the creationists say that science is compromised and that they're not presenting all the information. Again, that's something that I don't necessarily believe because I follow where the science takes me. And the science, everything in the sciences tell me that evolution is true. I believe they say that nothing in biology makes sense without a light of evolution. I know I messed that saying up, but I tend to believe that that's true, my people. So let's go back into the work thing, right? So yeah, communication. Other departments are coming into our numbers and looking at them, basically. And what I say is that we all got to communicate, man. We all got to communicate. And I feel like that's the key to life. Communication, man. That's what separates humans from other species. The fact that we could put together words and we could communicate our ideas. One of the things I learned about, I got a deep voice. And I also know about lyrics and rap music and poetry and things like this. And if you're able to explain yourself in a manner using words that clearly define how you're feeling, then you can basically create emotion in the listener. So I feel like communication is very, very, very important. And the better you are at expressing your ideas, is the better that you're gonna get, or how easy it's going to be to get people to follow you. So I moved up, more than 10% yesterday because I spent like maybe 6-7 hours attempting to look at other people's numbers, reverse engineer them, and see exactly what they was doing, and then communicate it back with that person. And I feel that we definitely made leeway with that. And that's a beautiful thing when two people can get together or three people and we can talk, share ideas, and interchange information and come up with a solution. And I feel that that's exactly what we did. And again, I believe that it was beautiful. So we got my man in the comments section where he say, I think we did fake the moon landing, but that we actually did go later on some years ago because, of course, we are trying to beat Russia. But then we stopped. You ever really wonder why we never went back to the moon? Hell, why did we even stop researching the oceans? Man, you getting into some good stuff. You getting into some very, very, very good stuff, you dig? Listen, I know scientists have an answer for that. Neil deGrasse Tyson, he's another one from New York, straight from the BX. I tend to listen to what these cats say. You understand? Not that the fallacy of authority. I don't look at that. I tend to listen to the arguments that they make. And if their arguments make sense and they communicate the same exact thing that all the scientists say, then I'm going to listen to that, Being the auditor. I've been an auditor in my life before. And auditing is easy. All you're doing is asking questions. You could just ask questions and point holes and pick holes in someone's story. However, that don't necessarily mean the holes that you painting is creating a coherent picture or coherent picture of what's going on. So for example, I could look at evolution, right? And I could look at pseudogenes. I could look at human chromosome 2. I could look at the fossil record. All of these things point to the fact that humans or all life on Earth share a common ancestor. And all the lines of evidence point to it. Now, a creationist, someone like a Kent Hovind or someone like, y'all know the creationists, man. They're very good debaters. But at the same time, all they do is try to pick a hole in something, right? So they'll be like, okay, this pseudogene may say this. But at the same time, there's no such thing as pseudogenes because this has a function, right? And that can make sense. You point in a hole in that, but at the same time, that don't make sense with, okay, a flood happened. And then when we look in the fossil record, we don't find all organisms on mixed up. We see a clear progression. So pseudogenes mixed with the fossil record, mixed with human chromosome 2, it's all pointing to one thing. Now, if I could look at those things and say, well, this could be this, and this could be that, and that could be that, if my thing don't have if I can't put all that together and point to, let's say, creation, then to me, it doesn't make sense. It's like looking at a murder scene, right? And looking in the room and say we got 10 rooms, right? And in each room, I got a line of evidence pointing at one person. I could look in there and be like, well, okay, that evidence makes sense, but it could be this person. Then I go into another room, right? And that same person from the first room is in the second room and got evidence pointing at them in that second room. But then I'll be like, well, okay, that may make sense. But then this person could have did it, but we talking about one murder. But now you just pointed out evidence that don't fit this person that could. And then the next room, you pointing out evidence that don't fit this person, but it could. And it's a different person from room to room that you pointing to. You're not even coming up with a coherent theory. But all the evidence taken in totality point at one thing, And I think sometimes that, these people who question certain theories, that's what they do. And they're not actually putting together a coherent argument in themselves. You dig? So that's how I feel about that, man. And again, with that Epstein stuff, man, unless I start seeing things like that, man, I can't necessarily say that the conspiracy guys are true. Do I believe that something fishy happened with Epstein? Definitely could. Let's be real. He had dirt on people, yo. He definitely had dirt on people. And if I'm a powerful person, I don't want that evidence to come out on me. And what does it take? You to eliminate one person? Yeah, that can happen. And especially when it's powerful people. So I ask, right, if the watchers are the one that is implemented in certain things, then who's to hold the watchers accountable? And that's what kind of make things scary when I think about that Epstein stuff and I think about the government. I'm a solo person a lot of times. And, I've lived alone plenty of times. And again, if someone in the government really wanted to make me disappear, it is very, very, very possible for them to make me disappear. And they could there's people who disappear on a regular basis. I was just looking at the Maura Murray case. Y'all know about Maura Murray? This is very, very interesting because it's just so funny. I was literally looking at this case before I went to bed last night. And that case is glaring and it's real creepy because this is a cop disappear. She was an alcoholic at certain times. She had an accident. She was drinking during that accident. And, people say she went into the wooded area. And that's over there by you in Massachusetts, my brother. So I know you know about that. And she disappeared. This was almost, 20 years ago. The girl was, 2 years younger than me. And that's a truly scary case, man. She disappeared with no trace. And don't nobody know where this woman went. What'd he say? He said, what if I told you that the movie Avatar is like a documentary of what our past you be scientific. It shows that the world has once had a tree of life that stretched beyond the clouds, that mountains were just trees that were chopped down by the sky cutters. I don't know about that, brother. It sounds like some Star Wars stuff. You know what I mean? I've been around for a long time. I've read David Icke books. I know about that type of stuff. Chariots of the Gods, and all that type of stuff, man. And honestly, I tend to go with what the scientific evidence said. Again, that's some huge stuff you're talking about, my brother. So in order to prove that, you're going to have a lot of evidence to prove something like that, man. But I definitely, my mind is not closed to it. I'll research it, If you got the evidence, present it, brother. Present it. You dig? But once we reach 7-Eleven, you already know that's my time to get up out here. Once we reach 7-Eleven, my train gonna be here around 5, And it is what it is, man. Thanks everybody for coming on, and thanks everybody for listening. My man for giving us this info about Epstein. It kind of bullied me into talking about it, but it is what it is, But before we get up out of here, we're just going to reiterate what we went over. We went over that 10% rule where, you compare yourself to yourself. What you did yesterday to what you did the day before. And if you made progress, then that definitely means that you're moving in the correct direction. Also, that we should document this stuff, man. Definitely document it. Then we spoke about communication and how communication is what separates humans from a lot of the other animals, man. The fact that we can put our words in a certain way and express our emotions in abstract ways. And this helps us out as a species, man. And I think that, that along with our large brains, our opposable thumbs, are some of the things that helped us become one of the most successful species out there. You dig? And then last, we spoke about health. And I told you guys how my diabetes is doing better. I did better on Tuesday than when I did on Monday. And last but not least, I was going to talk about and speak about career-wise. And my career-wise is this. I want to, when I retire, maybe be a public speaker, maybe start another show up. But this is momentum in the correct direction, basically. We're moving around in the correct direction because I did put out this live again. So thank you guys for watching. This is your boy B, and we up out here. Yeah.